What's up, y'all? Welcome back. I am Miss Megan Liana, the host of Be Fucking For Real, the home of unfiltered takes, unapologetic truths. And y'all know we about to get into some things, okay? Now, y'all know I don't like gossip, right? I mean, I like news, but I don't like gossip. But there was some gossip that came out today, and I genuinely could not resist talking about this, okay? So, boom. Y'all know Kristi Noem, right? The DHS secretary that got fired. Well, her husband was in some shit. And come to find out, he is a crossdresser and he likes prostitutes. And come to find out, he likes paying those prostitutes. So, okay, that's her husband, Bryon Noem. And that's him cross-dressing. Today, the Daily Mail, they released a story that basically says that he lives a double life as a cross-dresser. He also likes buying prostitutes in, quote, the online bimbofication community. I don't even know how they made that a word, but basically, he sent at least 25,000 to different members of, the bimbofication community. And I think we have to remember, like, we're in a time where it's super easy to fetishize, to give into your fetishes and your vices, right? So his is paying prostitutes, and he also likes dressing as like he likes where the prostitutes kind of turn him into a girl. And his pseudonym is Jason Jackson. And the crazy thing is that you cannot be evil and engage in stuff and do the things that Kristi Noem has. Like, she has a lot of enemies. So to me, it's like, of course, somebody would hit you where it hurts and embarrass you through your family. And they found text messages, WhatsApp, they have some audio calls, and basically, like, she's not denying it. She came out with a statement today that says, like, she's devastated, and that her and her family were blindsided by it. But I first I want to start with the actual Daily Mail headline, because chef's kiss. Secret double life of Kristi Noem's cross-dressing husband Bryon. The pouting, busty bimbo photos and trove of explicit messages. Imagine that. But it's just crazy spending all your time terrorizing the country while your husband is out paying sex workers to look like a bimbo, and will actually photograph himself and send it to them. And it's important to note that there's a rumor that Kristi Noem has been having an affair with her top advisor, Corey Lewandowski. But what's crazy to me is that, these people, they get on TV and they do these press conferences where they just promote family values and Christian morality and all this other stuff. And they're hypocrites. They're all hypocrites. Even that's just like the rumor that was around that Elon Musk and I think Stephen Miller and their wives Elon Musk doesn't have a wife, but their girlfriends were all kind of living together and just having a wild time. There's rumors that Mike Johnson has a wild time. Just like every time there's a Republican, when there was a Republican National Convention, they literally shut down the server of, oh my God, what is that app? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. It's the app where Grinder, the gay male hookup app. They overdid the server for Grinder during the Republican National Convention and shut it down. And they're all hypocrites. I really feel like these people promote these super strict American values just as a front because they're the biggest freaks. It's You can't tell me that this ain't nothing. Especially, I remember when Kristi Noem was getting she had to, testify before Congress, and then they interviewed Corey Lewandowski, and they were asking about the airplane and just little stuff that they've done in the money embezzlement, because they've been embezzling and laundering money and overpaying themselves. But this, to me, like, this embarrassment of her husband, like that, this does not scratch the surface of the karma she deserves. This little bit of embarrassment that her husband has caused her, it's gonna pass. And, more news is gonna happen. And then when that other news happens, people are just really going to forget. And people are going to forget. And this is how fast the news happens, right? Because just last week, it came out that Kash Patel's, and it's kind of hard to see, I should probably make it bigger. Kash Patel's email was hacked. And his email was hacked by, who was it? It was an Iran-linked group, Handala Hack Team. And they were able to hack his old Gmail account from 2010 to 2022, and they published over 300 emails and photos from his personal Gmail account. Now, the FBI did confirm that they were aware of the breach, but I think I think this was a warning. Like, they said that Handala said that the attack was a retaliation for the Justice Department seizing their domains. But I don't know. I feel like this was a warning sign. Like, when they send like warning shots, I feel like that was a warning where it's basically, if they could hack that personal email, and that's just from 2022, who's to say they haven't already hacked his Gmail from 2023 ongoing? And this is why you can't keep making enemies with all these countries, because I remember this show on Vice, and I think it was called like Cyber Security or something like that. But what that show was about was how when countries go to war, like, yes, they may, utilize violence. Oh, I think it was called Cyber War, but there will always be a cyber war, a cyber aspect to these wars. And it comes in the form of hacking, whether it's hacking, the your electric grid, or hacking, there are so many systems that are digital that are placed, onto some kind of online server. And I think part of the issue is that I don't think our current administration is smart enough to stop the hackers. Like, I don't. Even as cool as we may be with Putin and them, and as cool as, he may think we are with China and them, we got way too many enemies. And these enemies are not afraid to, use their best. And their best is sometimes a cyber war. And I think we're going to start seeing more hacks. I think we're going to start seeing more leaks. And I think we're going to start seeing more embarrassing releases until these people are out of office. And what that out of office looks like, I don't know. Because, Kristi Noem, she's not the head of DHS anymore. but she is, I don't know, they made up some position for her. So whatever it is, she's still a target. And I don't think that this leak was an accident. I think that the leak was intentional. And I say they keep going. Embarrass all them motherfuckers. They're evil. Okay. On to some other news. Now, I have talked about this before. So personally, I don't think that they made the wrong decision. So the International Olympic Committee has established a rule that now only biological females can compete in the women's category in the upcoming 2028 Olympic Summer Games. And the decision was made in Switzerland, but it applies to all of the Olympic events globally. And basically, what they concluded was that the male sex provides a performance advantage in all sports that rely on strength, power, and endurance, and that SRI gene screening is the most accurate and least intrusive method to verify biological sex. And here's the thing: we need to be fucking for real that that's very fair. And if you disagree, I think you're being a misogynist. And let me tell you why. And I've talked about this before. Like, I talked about this when it was a few months ago, and there was a biological woman who competed in a bodybuilding and she was like a bodybuilder, and she lost her title to somebody who was born a biological man and hid the truth about it. And then when people found out, that person, lost their title, and it was given back to the biological woman. And I personally, you have every right to feel how you want to feel. You have every right to go by whatever pronouns you want to go by. I have no argument with that. Live your truth. I say it all the time. Live your truth. Live how you want. But you should not be competing with natural born women in sports, because there's an advantage, and it has everything to do with the science of biology and hormones, and that's it. And once a natural born male, and this is they have done studies on this, that like once a natural born male has experienced puberty, they have an athletic advantage against women. That's just that. And I get tired of the argument about that, because I think that it becomes a little more misogynist when the argument is more of the entitlement and the forcing to be in women's spaces. I don't think that it should be at this point in just gender assignment and where we are in gender identity. I don't think it should be far-fetched for there to be a transgender category in the Olympics and sports, because I think, for one, that recognizes where they are and who they are. But also, I think that it, takes away from the exclusion and somewhat of what that embarrassment may feel like. But also, I believe that if the fight is more about being accepted into women's spaces, then that's more of a validation that's being sought after versus the acceptance of who you are. Because I think when you're accepting of something, you're accommodating. And to be accommodating doesn't mean that you have to create a disadvantage for the next person. And I think that's where the lines get crossed, and I think that's where the imbalance happens, when we have these conversations about trans in sports. And if it's one thing I hate when it comes to this conversation, I hate when people get disrespectful. So you will never hear me be disrespectful when it comes to talking about this, because I do believe that trans men and trans women deserve the right to exist and they deserve the right to identify. But they do not have the right to overpower and dominate for the sake of validation. And I think that's where we have to draw the line. So I think that the Olympics got it right. Now, again, this was decided in Sweden and it applies to all. So who knows how this will play out? Only time will tell. But I mean, it's 2026. The Olympics are in 2 years. So, hey, they got time to fight. They got time to debate, and they got time to go back and forth about it, because I don't think this conversation is over. Another conversation that is not over, and Chili, why? Okay, so backstory. It was a couple things that happened this weekend, right? So for one, I don't even know how it happened or why it matters, but there were FEC records that showed Chili had donated over $1,000 to Trump-linked fundraisers. It was the Trump National Committee and Never Surrender Inc. Now the issue was more that she had reposted this wild video where it said Michelle Obama registered to vote as a man in 1994. Now, of course, that's a conspiracy. Of course, that's AI, right? Like, what the fuck? But she had reposted it. And so when she reposted it and these donations came out, that's when the shit hit the fan. And here's the thing, like, it got so bad that she had to make a video. And this is what she had to say.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here to address a few things that's circulating on the internet that's very concerning to me. Let me say this first. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Michelle Obama, and I would never say or do anything that is disrespectful to her or to any woman. I would never do that. And I had no clue that this repost had happened until I started getting phone calls and text messages from everybody, and I immediately went to my page to see what was going on. Now, mind you, I'm not very computer savvy, so I'm looking for this repost button, and I see that all of these buttons are very, very close to each other. And clearly I was scrolling and my thumb hit the repost button. Again, I had no clue that something like this happened until I got all the calls. But of course.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I believe her because I hit that repost button on accident all the time. And on top of that, even on TikTok, I'll accidentally, when you're looking at something and it just gives you that little notification to share with whoever random person on your friends list. These buttons are way too easy to touch. So I don't put it past her that she accidentally reposted that. Like, I do a lot of accidental reposts and I know how to go back and unrepost it. I'm pretty sure she had to call her son and help her with that, because y'all forget, she look good, but she is in her 50s. So, you can't expect every auntie, when aunties reach a certain age and they become TT, they don't really use technology as good as they should, right? But I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to the $1,000 donation, I don't really care. Like, it's I have seen so many Black men and Black women and tech billionaires, and oh my God, there are so many people that are tap dancing for this president. We done seen Snoop, Nelly, we done seen Ray J, Kodak Black, NBA young boy. Like, there are so many celebrities that are pro Trump and pro this administration, right? And she's like one of the most low key Trump supporters ever. Now, one thing she was saying is that she's not MAGA. She donated to a couple causes. And she didn't donate, and I think that's important to note. She didn't donate. Now, it does say Trump National Committee, but as somebody who has done like political campaign accounting and political campaign finance reporting, which is these FEC reports, I think sometimes in the fine print, when you get that thank you donation, then you'll see the actual name of the organization, or who's backing it. But when she's like, if she said that she was donating to causes, it's possible that she was just donating to the cause. But I ain't mad. Like, we got way more fish to fry. And if we're gonna like pull FEC records for Chili's $1,000, I need to see every LLC that is a shell company for these celebrities and these these high power and well-known entrepreneurs that were making these donations. Because there are people that were donating 6 figures, 7 figures to his administration, and whether it's the Trump Foundation or the Trump campaign, whatever, and they do it in shell companies. So the fact that she was easier to be located because she actually used her first and last name versus other people who would use their business name, and it's easier to find a first and last name versus the business name, because having to find the business name and then look up the owner, that would take too much time and that would take too much work. And I feel like going after her for $1,000 donation is like low hanging fruit. It is. And we pick and choose who we want to hold accountable for being Trump supporters when it comes to Black celebrities. And we're hardest on Black women. Chrisette Michele performed at his inauguration in 2017. She been canceled for 9 years. Chrisette Michele never got her career back. She never bounced back. Snoop and Nelly are still touring, still performing actively. And I think that we need to differentiate between voting ideologies and political pandering. And I'll say, is she a clown if she did vote for him? Yeah, for sure. But if she's going to be crucified for it, I need these male artists and these male commentators to be crucified as well. Because Stephen A. Smith go online and pander to POTUS and Republicans in the name of disrespecting Black women every night. And he may not disrespect Black women every night, but he pandering every night and getting a big bag for it and a lot of views. And so it's like, we can't be selective with who we cancel. And I don't think, like, people are talking about not going to the tour, all this other shit, because TLC is going on tour with Salt and Pepper, and people are talking about boycotting that shit. Why? She apologized for reposting, and I don't think that she deserves all the pushback and energy that she's getting. We got other people that we could focus on. Druski is hilarious, okay? I'm not, I was never, I'm not that big of a fan. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, so although he looks like Erica Kirk, uh, this is Druski. Now, he does skits, and he did a skit where he looked like Erica Kirk. And every time he does a skit in quote unquote whiteface, they go in a tizzy. And now he never said it was Erica Kirk. All he said was it was captioned "How Conservative Women in America Act." That's it. But of course, people connected it to her, and it looks like her. You know, when they say it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, is most likely a duck. But I think that people just be wanting to be mad. Like, people love to just be mad and find the controversy in something. And it's like Druski, when he dresses up as a white character, people love to compare that to blackface. And you can never compare an actor portraying somebody or portraying a different race to blackface. And you can never compare it to blackface because blackface was invented, it was rooted in racism. It was rooted in creating a caricature of blacks, of black people. And it's not the same. Like, it reminds me, what he's doing reminds me of past comedy, right? Where, white chicks. White chicks wasn't offensive at the time. Dave Chappelle had that character on the Chappelle show where it was he was the news anchor and he dressed as a white man. Eddie Murphy had a character where he dressed as a white man. Like, it's not rooted in racism. And here's the thing. Oh my God, when Robert Downey Jr. played the black character in that war movie, I don't know why I can't remember the name of it, but I think he even won an Academy Award for that. That shit was hilarious. It wasn't considered blackface. And maybe it's because I'm a millennial, where I can differentiate between blackface and playing a character, right? But blackface is very, very specific. And when people walk on that line between offensive racism being portrayed as comedy versus a parody, we need to be fucking for real that there's a difference. And people need to get the fuck over it because y'all just want to be mad. And it's like, if you're gonna be mad at Druski for doing a parody, then you gotta be mad at SNL, Saturday Night Live, because they do parodies all the time. And sketch comedy is its own form of comedy. It is what it is. Get over it. The shit was hilarious. One thing that is not hilarious, but was treated as a fucking joke, TSA. So TSA was finally funded. And what had happened was the Senate, excuse me. So what happened with the TSA was the Senate passed a funding deal that fell apart in the House. Once that happened, Donald Trump signed an executive order to pay the TSA employees and their back pay. And here's the problem with that. Why the fuck didn't he just do that in the first place? If all it took was an executive order, why, even since the last partial shutdown, like, this shutdown began in February, and that was when the Democrats began withholding funding for DHS. Now, by that time, TSA workers had already missed multiple paychecks, and the fact that all he had to do was sign an executive order. What was the point of waiting this long? And what was the point of letting it get to a point where ICE had to be called in to serve and help TSA lines? Why did it take all of that to happen? And it sucks because it's like they literally just played in TSA workers' face like that. And it's like, this is why I hate our current government, because they were actually okay with using TSA funding as pawns in a scheme to get the SAVE Act passed. And this is exactly why our government can't get shit done. And on top of that, like, it came out today that 30 Republicans are not running for re-election. And they're not running for re-election because they know they're not going to win. And they're not going to win because they always want to play these stupid ass games. We have a government that is loyal. We have a government majority that is loyal to the president right now. And they need to be loyal to their constituents. And they need to give a damn about the people that have to do these jobs. And the way TSA was played with, they should all quit, honestly. Fuck a back pay. Fuck it. But that's just me though. Another thing that came out this week that I don't think got enough attention is that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stopped the promotion of 4 Army officers. It was 2 black women and let me see. Two black men and 2 women. And he blocked their promotions, and they were on track to become 1-star generals. And he basically intervened after Army. Okay, I'll go into the name. He intervened after Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll repeatedly refused to remove the names. So basically, he was trying to get somebody else to take the names off, and they wouldn't. So he just blocked the promotions. And one black officer was targeted because of a paper that he wrote almost 15 years ago that examined why black officers were historically chosen for support roles over combat roles. And a female logistics officer was flagged for serving during the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal. And it's basically just bullshit reasons. But another thing that came out allegedly was that Hegseth told Driscoll that President Trump would not want to stand next to a black female officer at military events. And while they're saying it's fake news, they have to say that because if it was true, it'd be illegal. And what's so annoying is that this is the most incompetent defense secretary that we have had in this position. And on top of that, got the nerve to be racist, openly racist. And we knew this was an openly racist regime when it came to the Army, or just the military in general, when they got rid of all of the black men that were of higher rank and replaced them with white men. And, Pete Hegseth says it all the time. The woke days are done. DEI is done. He talks all the time openly about war crimes they're going to commit to, but I digress from that. But it's like, although it's illegal, nothing's happening. And that's the issue. And, you know, people could say, oh, it's fake news, or they could say, oh, it's gossip, it's hearsay. You know, good and goddamn well he said that. And it's clear that he did block the promotions of these people, these Army officers, and they deserve their rank and their promotion for that, because they actually did more for this country than he has. And that's the problem with merit-based promotions versus experience-based. Because whether, you know, DEI, people love to make it seem like not even people, these people, this administration, they love to make it seem like DEI is the thing that you get because you're just another race. And it's like, all DEI is supposed to do is give you an equal playing field to get access to opportunities that normally you're not going to get if you don't fit the description, and if you don't fit the mold. And right now, the mold that they want to build for the military is white male. That's the problem. And so I wonder how this is going to play out when he's out, because these people aren't going to be here forever. I mean, they could try to, you know, use their voter suppression tactics as much as they want. They're still not going to be here forever. And speaking of voter suppression tactics, just today, Donald Trump signed an executive order that on mail-in voting. And so what it did was he signed an executive order that he signed an executive order that requires stricter mail-in voting rules. And not only does it require that, it directs the administration to create a list of confirmed U.S. citizens who are eligible to vote in each state. And they're going to be using that data from the Social Security Administration. How the fuck are they even going to do that? And what it's going to do is, in this executive order, is it's going to bar the U.S. Postal Service from sending absentee ballots to those not on each state's approvals list. And also, it's going to require ballots to have secure envelopes with unique barcodes for tracking. This is bullshit. And for one, based off of Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, election law experts are saying that this is unconstitutional because only states and Congress have the power to make election laws, not the President of the United States. On top of that, there's no way to implement this in time for November. Like, that's really the problem. For midterms, this is the most unorganized administration ever. How are they going to come up with the list, and who is going to be on that list? Because the irony and the hypocrisy of this is Donald Trump literally just voted by mail for his Florida election. And the thing is, he was in Mar-a-Lago at the time of that election. So he didn't have to vote by mail, because it's not like he spends all his time in Washington. He spends a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago golfing and, you know, hosting dinners for bribery deals. This is what he had to say when he was asked about the whole voting by mail thing.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. Go ahead. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did.
Why did
you know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections that took place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine
But you
taking.
were in Palm Beach, sir, the last few weekends.
That's right, and
Could you have gone in
I
person?
decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there because I had a lot of different things. But we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that, right? So if you're away, we have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception. If you're on a business trip, we have an exception. If you're disabled, we have an exception. And if you're ill, if you're not feeling good, we have. So I was away, mostly in Washington, D.C., so I used a mail-in ballot. But I appreciate the question because I know it was so well-meaning.
Do as I say, not as I do. That is what we're working with. And he had the room to vote if he wanted to, because he was in Palm Beach when he could have voted. Now, here are some facts about voter mail-ins and why this is giving voter suppression, okay? So nearly 1 in 3 Americans voted by mail in the 2024 election. That's about 48 million voters. And it's not just Democrats, okay? It's bipartisan impact. 1 in 4 Democrats vote by mail, and 1 in 5 Republicans voted by mail. There are 8 states that conduct elections entirely by mail. California, Oregon, and Arizona are a few of those, and they just filed a lawsuit today to prevent that executive order. And that's what gets on my nerves, is that I feel like he knows that these executive orders are going to be challenged in court. He knows that he doesn't have the full constitutional authority right now to even allow this whole executive order against voter mail-in ballots to go through, because again, that's a state right issue. It's up to the states for allowing that. But it's just the fact that if it can be argued in court, that allows him to buy time. And if it's about to be April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So we have 7 months until the midterm elections. 7 months. And that's 7 months of going back and forth in court. So that's enough time to cause a lot of chaos. And in causing a lot of chaos, if there's a way to prevent voter mail-in ballots from getting sent out, that's the goal. That's the form of voter suppression that we're dealing with. And when he talks about fraud, because he loves to say that there's cheating by voter mail-in ballots. A 2025 report by Brookings Institution found that mail voting fraud occurred in 0.000043% of total mail-in ballots. That's basically 4 per 10 million mail ballots. And so we have to be fucking for real and call voter suppression out for what it is. And what drives me crazy, and I talk about it all the time, is like, when is enough enough? What is the thing that will make people stand up? When I say people, I'm talking about the people that have the power right now to control him, and that's the Senate and that's the House. And with 30 Republicans giving up their seats, not running for re-election because they know they're not going to win, that either gives room for them to get primaried by another Republican if it is a red state. However, so many red states are being flipped right now because people are sick and tired of Republicans. And it's not it's not that, you know, people have some sort of party loyalty anymore. The when your party is loyal to Trump and not your best interest as a constituent, that's the problem. And so it's like, yes, he could do all the voter suppression in the world, right? Or in the country that will be allowed. But I think that even with the voter suppression, let's say, even with this executive order, from the executive order to the this SAVE Act, if and when the SAVE Act gets passed, there's going to be so many battles in court that I believe that there will be some sort of voter suppression, but I also believe that so many people are fed up with how government is being ran. I still don't think that these cheaters will be able to prosper this time. And I also don't think they'll be able to prosper without um, Elon Musk and his ability to cheat and hack. But, you know, we're going to see. I think that a lot of people do need to kind of wake up right now and come with alternatives. Like, I do believe that there needs to be some sort of alternatives created to ensure people are able to vote and to ensure people are able to get to the polls. If, you know, you're not able to send in your mail-in ballot. If, you know, as we saw with Texas when polling places were closed or people had the wrong location, like, voter suppression is more than just an act of, oh, you can't vote, right? Voter suppression is making it hard for people to access their space to vote. And so only time will tell. I think from now to November, we'll probably be witnessing a little shit show, but that's okay. You know why it's okay? Because here we get to be fucking for real about the shit show. All right. Now, that is it for tonight. Thank you for tuning in on a Tuesday. All right. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and heavy on the comments, because you talk to me, I talk back. I love a healthy discourse, and that is what Be Fucking For Real is about. It's a space to be honest, to be transparent, but also to share ideas, whether we agree or disagree. It's a safe space to have these conversations. So talk to me, I talk back. And I'm going to see y'all next time on Be Fucking For Real. I'm Miss Megan Liana. Y'all enjoy y'all week, no matter how crazy the news is.